Discipline, the gateway to power. Discipline is not just about following routines or sticking to schedules. It's about mastering yourself. Most people mistake discipline for external structure, waking up early, working hard, exercising daily. But real discipline goes much deeper. It's an inner power, a silent strength that gives you control over your mind and actions. It's not about doing things because someone told you to. It's about doing them because you decided to, and nothing can shake that decision. When you develop true discipline, you stop being a slave, not to people, but to your own impulses, emotions, and desires. Most people are controlled by what they feel in the moment. They quit when they're tired, lash out when they're angry, or procrastinate when things get hard. A disciplined person feels all those same emotions, but chooses not to bow to them. That choice, to act with intention instead of reaction, is where real power begins. Every time you say no to something that weakens you, no to laziness, no to anger, no to distraction, you gain power. You may not see the transformation immediately, but every small act of control builds your inner fortress brick by brick. Over time, you start noticing a shift. You no longer depend on motivation or moods to take action. Your actions become automatic, driven by purpose rather than pleasure. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. Without it, dreams remain dreams, ideas that fade as soon as difficulty arrives. But with discipline, you can endure discomfort long enough to turn vision into reality. Think of every great philosopher, athlete, artist, or leader. Their success wasn't built on luck or talent alone. It was built on the relentless consistency that comes only from discipline. It's not easy. Discipline will often feel lonely. It will separate you from the crowd, from those who seek comfort over growth. People may call you obsessive, cold, or too strict. But remember this: greatness has always demanded sacrifice. The Stoics didn't seek easy lives, they sought strength of character. They understood that control over one's self is the highest form of freedom. So when you wake up tomorrow and face that familiar battle between what feels good and what's right, remember, every time you choose control over impulse, you sharpen your mind, you harden your will, and you step closer to power. Because true discipline isn't about controlling the world around you. It's about mastering the world within you. 2. The fear in total control. Most people fear absolute discipline because, on the surface, it looks inhuman. Cold, robotic, almost emotionless. They imagine someone who never smiles, never relaxes, never feels. But that image is false. True discipline isn't the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. It's not that you stop feeling, it's that your feelings stop controlling. We live in a world driven by impulse. People react instantly to anger, temptation, failure, or praise. They let emotions pull the strings of their behavior like puppets. One insult ruins their day. One failure destroys their confidence. But a disciplined mind stands still in the middle of that storm. It feels everything: anger, fear, pain, temptation, yet chooses its response with calm precision. That is the essence of control. The Stoics called this state apatheia, not apathy, but freedom from being enslaved by emotion. It means feeling deeply but acting wisely. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire, faced betrayal, war, and loss. Yet in his private writings, he reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That is why Stoicism remains timeless. It teaches that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, control begins within, and that control is frightening, not to the disciplined person, but to everyone else. Because when you can't be provoked, you can't be manipulated. When you don't react emotionally, people lose the ability to control you. Most people need others' validation to feel worthy. But the disciplined mind needs nothing external to feel strong. It operates from a place of inner clarity, not chaos. Imagine two warriors on a battlefield, one furious, swinging wildly, the other calm, deliberate, focused. The first is ruled by emotion, the second rules emotion. Who do you think wins? The same is true in life. Those who control themselves control everything: conversations, conflicts, opportunities, and outcomes. But reaching that level of discipline terrifies many because it requires confronting uncomfortable truths. That emotions don't justify actions, that self-control demands patience, and that silence often speaks louder than anger. Society glorifies instant reactions and emotional outbursts. They're dramatic, they get attention. But the Stoic path is quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's the path of those who don't need the world's approval to feel at peace. When you master your emotions, people may say you've become distant or detached. But what they're really seeing is strength they can't understand. You're no longer moved by chaos because you've found stillness within yourself. You've learned that true power doesn't shout, it simply is. So yes, absolute discipline looks terrifying, but only to those still ruled by their impulses. The disciplined mind doesn't suppress emotion, it channels it. It turns pain into focus, anger into energy, fear into awareness. That's why the Stoics stood calm in storms that broke others. Because in the end, the most frightening power in the world is not to control others. It's to control yourself. 3. Sacrifice, the price of mastery. Every strong mind pays a price. There is no greatness without sacrifice. Every person you've ever admired, every Stoic, every warrior, every master has walked through the fire of discomfort to become who? To be unbreakable, you must first be willing to break your attachment to ease. Because comfort is the enemy of growth, and discipline demands you give up the very things that make you soft. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this essential?" Those 5 words define the path of mastery. The disciplined person constantly questions, do I need this distraction, this craving, this indulgence? And most of the time, the answer is no. The Stoic path is not about adding more to your life. It's about removing what weakens you. It's subtraction, not addition, burning away everything unnecessary until only strength remains. Sacrifice is not punishment. It is purification. When you give up comfort, you are not losing something. You are cleansing yourself of dependency. When you reject laziness, you are not depriving yourself. You are discovering how capable you really are. Every sacrifice strips away another layer of weakness, revealing a stronger version of. Underneath, most people want success, peace, and power, but they also want to keep their comforts. They want strength without struggle, progress without pain. But the truth is simple. You can't have both. To rise above, you must give something up. Sleep when it's time to work. Pleasure when it distracts you from purpose. Approval when it conflicts with your values. These are the quiet sacrifices that separate those who dream from those who do. The Stoics practiced sacrifice every day, not just in action, but in thought. They trained themselves to live simply, to detach from material things, and to let go of desires that led to weakness. Epictetus, who was born a slave, understood that no man is free until he stops craving what he cannot control. He sacrificed comfort for clarity, and that sacrifice made him one of history's strongest minds. Discipline asks for a heavy price, but it gives something far greater in return: mastery over self. When you choose to sacrifice, you begin to see how little you truly need. You stop chasing pleasure and start building purpose. You stop fearing pain and start using it as fuel. Every moment of discomfort becomes a test of strength, a chance to prove that your will is stronger than your feelings. And as you continue to sacrifice, something powerful happens. You stop being fragile. Things that used to shake you no longer matter. You find peace in simplicity and strength in restraint. You realize that the greatest freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's having the power to say no when it counts. So remember, mastery doesn't come from what you gain. It comes from what you're willing to lose. To be unbreakable, you must burn away everything that keeps you weak. Only through sacrifice does the fire of discipline reveal the steel within. 4. Limits. They think discipline traps you, suffocates your spontaneity, and steals your freedom. But that's only because they've never experienced what true discipline feels like. The truth is the opposite. Discipline doesn't imprison you, it frees you. Freedom is one of humanity's greatest desires. Yet most people live as prisoners, not of walls or governments, but of their own impulses. They are chained to laziness, distraction, fear, and addiction. They call themselves free because they can do whatever they want, but they never stop to realize that what they want is often what keeps them weak. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Those words hold the entire truth of freedom. Real freedom is not the absence of rules. It's the presence of self-control. When you master your habits, emotions, and thoughts, you no longer dance to the rhythm of chaos. You decide what you do, how you react, and what you focus on. That's not slavery. That's sovereignty. Think about it. The person who can't stop scrolling on their phone, can't resist another drink, or can't stay focused for 5 minutes, are they truly free? Or are they prisoners of their own habits? A disciplined mind can walk away from pleasure, endure discomfort, and stay calm under pressure. That kind of control is not limitation, it's liberation. The Stoics understood that freedom, without discipline, is just another form of slavery. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, lived surrounded by temptation and power. Yet he reminded himself daily that true control lies within, not in the empire, not in wealth, but in mastery of the self. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That single idea separates the free from the enslaved. When you discipline your time, you gain time. When you discipline your emotions, you gain peace. When you discipline your habits, you gain direction. Every act of discipline is an act of freedom because it breaks the invisible chains that pull you toward weakness and regret. Most people think freedom means doing whatever feels good, sleeping in, skipping effort, chasing pleasure. But that kind of freedom always leads to bondage, to debt, to dependency, to despair. True freedom is the power to do what's necessary, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. That's the freedom Stoicism teaches. The freedom of strength. When you live with discipline, you don't need motivation. You don't need permission. You move by principle, not impulse. The world can throw chaos at you, and you'll still stand calm, steady, and grounded. Because you know that your peace doesn't depend on circumstances. It depends on control. So yes, discipline looks rigid from the outside. But once you live it, you realize it's the purest form of freedom. Because the person who can command himself needs no master and fears no cage. 5. Become the Stoic warrior. Absolute discipline transforms you into something rare, a force that remains calm under pressure, sharp under stress, and focused amidst chaos. In a world full of noise, distraction, and weakness, such control almost looks superhuman. But it isn't magic. It's not luck. It's the result of relentless self-mastery, the kind that only comes from embracing the Stoic way. A Stoic warrior isn't someone who fights others. He fights himself, his impulses, doubts, fears, and excuses. This is what the Stoics meant when they said, "A man's worth is measured by the things he can control." The Stoic warrior focuses only on what lies within his command, his choices, his mindset, his effort. Everything else is noise. The terrifying power of discipline is not that it makes you emotionless. It's that it makes you unshakable. You still feel pain, but it doesn't break you. You still face fear, but it doesn't stop you. You still experience failure, but it doesn't define you. Through discipline, you become grounded in something far stronger than circumstances, yourself. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet lived like a soldier of the mind. He practiced humility, patience, and restraint in every decision. Seneca, one of Rome's richest men, practiced letting go of his wealth to prove to himself that comfort had no control over him. Epictetus, born a slave, mastered his mind so completely that no external force could touch his peace. Each of them lived as Stoic warriors, not in the physical sense, but in the spiritual one. They proved that true strength is not dominance over others, but mastery over self. Becoming a Stoic warrior doesn't mean you live without emotion. It means your emotions serve you instead of ruling you. It means your discipline becomes your freedom, your purpose becomes your power, and your silence becomes your strength. You stop seeking validation because your worth is not measured by others' opinions. You no longer chase success, you embody it through consistency and control. And this is the terrifying beauty of discipline. It doesn't make you perfect, it makes you unstoppable. Perfection is fragile, but discipline is eternal. It endures failure, rejection, and exhaustion, and still moves forward. When others stop, you continue. When others complain, you adapt. That's what it means to become a Stoic warrior, to face life with calm eyes, a steady heart, and an unbreakable will. You no longer need to control the world because you've learned to control yourself. And that, in the end, is the highest form of power.